I need to get some Wolverines, and I got pennants.
You got pennants?
I got the 2012 World Series pennant that the Tigers lost.
Welcome to Seattle Sports Union, everybody. My name is Abraham DeWeese. With me today is Nathan Savage and Eric Martin. All right, guys. Today is the day after the first day of the NFL draft. This is a interesting position that our Seattle Seahawks are in. They, for once, didn't. Well, they did trade down once, right? They traded down from 18 to 27, but they didn't keep trading down. And I know a lot of people like me thought, okay, there must be a special player that they're going after. Well, they got a player that's pretty special. He has the fifth most amount of yards from scrimmage in the NCAA history in Rashad Penny. But the part of me that worries about money says running backs shouldn't go in the first round. What do you guys think? I'm thinking the Seahawks, went for a reach. I thought, why a running back? We don't need a running back.
But running backs, they say shouldn't go in the first round. First of all, let's talk about it. We're talking the number 27 pick. So, even at 18, let's talk about the draft in general. You got the first 12 players that are, in theory, like special. Then you're kind of honing in on a position. Okay.
Yeah.
So if the Hawks were going for a running back, then I guess it makes sense.
That does make sense. I mean, if you have running back, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, as needs, I guess you do have to target one of those. But again, I get back to the economics of it, Nathan. What do you think about this? I mean,
for me, even Schneider said that he was trying to even trade a little more out, and it sounded like he couldn't get someone early enough in the second round where they were guaranteed that they would get him. And at that point, I just feel like I do trust Schneider and Carroll, and it's kind of similar to, I guess, something with the Mariners where it's so easy to not trust their moves because they've been so bad. But the Seahawks did win a Super Bowl off the back of those two guys. They've been competitive off those two guys. I trust them until it doesn't work, and it hasn't worked very well lately, but I will continue to trust them. For this
Well, here's the thing.
So.
A lot of people are still looking back at the last Seahawks Super Bowl when he should have ran it.
Yeah.
and
So
but that's not a good argument though, Eric.
well, not anymore because they don't even
running-
have the same team.
They had a running back that could run it,
Right.
and they just still chose not to.
Yeah.
Right.
Last year was just, I mean, you tell me there's an NFL team that only gets one touchdown from a running back. I have almost never heard of that. That's like when Kansas City didn't get a touchdown from a wideout.
From a wide receiver, yeah.
So I mean, I really liked him.
Or that one year that the Detroit Lions didn't get touchdowns from anybody.
Was that 0-16? Because that could be.
No, I'm kidding.
I mean, that could really be any season.
I feel like I remember they had some like 40-point games where they lost like 50-40 or something like that.
I remember. What was that? The 2012? Was it?
What, that was 0-16,
0-16, the Lions.
No, that was 08.
08.
That was 08. That was 08. That was my first season after I moved here.
I remember my buddies and I were watching that team for the last couple of weeks. Like, win, will you? Don't be that team that goes 0-16. Well, luckily the Browns helped you guys out there. And speaking of them, the Browns.
So that just means the Lions aren't alone in being the worst team in NFL history.
So the Browns, yeah.
Well,
I feel like
anybody can suck.
We weren't special.
I feel like the Browns are gonna continue to suck because they did something, in my opinion, very stupid. They picked Baker Mayfield.
They did.
Number 1 overall, and to compound the problem, they took a 5'7" cornerback, number 4. I forgot the guy's name, but he's out of Ohio State, and this is the kind of crap that they pull.
Ward.
That's his name. They picked the local kid so that they can sell jerseys or something. I don't know. Seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So is the rest of the NFL kind of following that kind of Oakland thing of, hey, get butts in the seats and we can be mediocre.
I think
mediocre teams do that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like Mayfield. I think the best quarterback is the one who looks the best when he plays and who is the most accurate. I think there's been so many times, at least in my short history of watching football, which, like you guys have said before, I'm in my 20s still compared to you guys. But
Yeah, there's no need to bring this up.
yeah, no, sorry. I'm just saying from my short history, the guys that wow you.
Why
as a
keep
quarterback,
reminding me that I'm old?
the big wow guys with how hard they throw or all of that, I just think it doesn't matter. It's a question of there's a wide receiver in a spot, can you get it to him?
Baker-
Are you accurate? And he is. I think he had 68% or whatever he had.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield had
76,
70% completion percentage. That's pretty doggone good. But how does that track when you go to a team that's less talented than your college team?
Exactly.
You have any receivers on the Brown team? Any?
Oh yeah, they're nice. They have Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Well, I thought Josh Gordon got kicked out.
No, he
Here's-
played last year. So
here's
I
the
actually
thing with
think
the Browns.
Cleveland is like I just think their only problem is the coach. They were actually pretty talented.
I
last
think their
year.
whole front office needs to go personally.
Yeah, I just don't like
And your quarterback is only as good as his O-line.
yeah.
So
But they even have their Njoku was a first round tight end last year. They're okay. And the one nice thing too is you don't need to play Mayfield. You can play Tyrod Taylor. His stats are actually
What is with
pretty
this?
solid.
What is
so
with this? Why does everybody hate Tyrod Taylor? The Bills, their
I think
coach.
it's just Buffalo. That's why.
I don't know though. I mean, like, all he does is take Buffalo, which is an under-talented team, to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's if he was like in San Francisco, if he was in a bigger market, there'd be more talk of.
Yeah, and what did they do? What did the Bills do? They put in some guy that set the record for interceptions in the first half. What was his name? Jay Peterman? I don't know.
Yeah, Peterman.
Yeah,
Right,
some guy that we'll never have to worry about him ever again.
There was like the Bills did the full we're gonna rebuild this year, we're gonna tank the team, and somehow they're in the playoffs. To me, that's like classic Bills. They just somehow
classic Bills.
they try their hardest to lose, so then they make the playoffs. When they try hard to win, they struggle. So yeah.
yeah, but I mean, can we talk about Jim Kelly?
That's
We
tough.
can.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, let's talk about the history of the Buffalo Bills. It's not like they have just sucked forever, ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
they
think
went
it's
to
like
4
they-
straight
yeah.
Super Bowls.
But they have the record
No
for
team
like
is-
most
well,
Super
no.
Bowls without winning it, right?
Yeah, 4.
Five.
Classic Bills.
Oh,
for
there's
me.
5.
Yeah, because Drew Bledsoe take him? No, Drew Bledsoe didn't take him. Sorry,
No, he didn't.
he got.
It's on you guys. I
Yeah,
don't know.
he
I'm
got.
not sure.
He got pretty far, but
He's too young to remember such things.
to remember Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know more about like even.
You're from Richland. You probably know his winery better than
Yeah,
you do
that's
the
true.
player. You guys know that he makes wine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's funny.
There's a
though, yeah.
bathroom in
Kelly.
Ellensburg.
I want to know what Joey Harrington's doing right now, because he seems like the type of guy that would.
Joey
like-
Hey, if
Harrington
he's an
wants to
Oregon
know
guy. I'm a
he's
fan.
doing.
I'm a
He's
fan
doing.
of Harrington. So
Yeah, we talked about that a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
So,
yeah.
bathroom.
not an NFL Harrington. But
No.
A bathroom in Ellensburg, which, by the way, is where Central. So where's our Central post?
Right there.
There it is, Central. There's a bathroom at some truck stop that has a shrine to Drew Bledsoe.
Oh my.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yeah.
I know there's great fishing out there, like one of the only blue ribbon fisheries here, but I didn't know there's actual
Former,
former infrastructure there.
There's a bathroom truck stop bathroom shrine
to Drew Bledsoe.
to Drew Bledsoe
in Ellensburg.
It's I parallel that because I live in the city and I don't want a car. I have a bus pass and a motorcycle and I'm good. To me, that's a comparison to. God, even that doesn't work. A
having the
bathroom
largest
shrine?
gas station in the world or something.
It's,
I feel like they're those aren't necessarily you're not
I-
super happy about that.
I don't know. I would rather not have a shrine than have a bathroom shrine. Which I guess my whole point before was I would rather ride the bus or be on my motorcycle than drive a beat up Pinto. Yeah, that's as close as I can get. Okay.
So, your old Tigers had a baseball player by the name of Gary Pettis.
They did.
Gary Pettis has a son
Briefly.
named. No, he still has a son named named Dante Pettis. He played for the University of Washington Huskies. Dante Pettis just got picked up by the San Francisco 49ers in the second round. So not only will Seattle area fans watch Richard Sherman returning balls for touchdowns, they may be watching Dante Pettis return kicks for touchdowns. Are you
Let's
guys?
hope not.
Are you guys starting to get worried about this NL West? The Cardinals have their future guy Josh Rosen.
Yeah, let's QBs.
Yeah.
Just face value QBs. You have Russell Wilson, Garoppolo. Now you have first round pick Rosen, who I was actually pretty high on.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Goff, but I mean, he only won games last year, so
Yeah, and he's still, he's the number one pick, right?
yeah, he was.
Or maybe number two. I think
He's up there.
He's the first quarterback pick, though. I think so. I mean, there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah. So, are you guys worried, Seahawks fans? I mean, like
Yeah.
Well, only to the extent that we're looking at, with the exception of the Rams, we're looking at the rest of the division catch up to where the Hawks were comfortably top dogs for 4 or 5 years. So, worried? No, because the Seahawks are still a good team, still a well-coached team. But now it's a thing where, okay, well, everybody's catching up. So
But
now we got to work harder for the Dubs.
But are they well coached? I mean, they've replaced most of their coaches. For a bunch of guys, like I don't know who Solari is, the offensive line coach. I just know that he's not Tom Cable. I'm happy with that. I don't know who Schottenheimer is, Brian Schottenheimer. I guess his dad was Marty. But like I don't know what his track record is. And Ken Norton was really bad as a defensive coordinator for the Raiders. So is this coaching staff good?
I think for me, just I think it starts at the top a lot in the NFL.
And
you can see,
Yep. I think Pete Carroll is still the guy for this team. I think Pete Carroll is still the guy for Russell Wilson. And I think Russell Wilson being a locker room leader, if your QB is still in favor of, then in my opinion that's still a well-coached team, because they're going to listen to that guy who's the locker room leader, and that locker room leader is listening to his head coach.
And for me too, real quick, just the big difference I think when you have a good coach is not necessarily, I think if your team's getting blown out all the time, it's just a talent level, but in the close game, seeing how you do, that'll be Pete Carroll. And we talked about there's going to be a lot more when it's not Sam Bradford, Blaine Gabbert, and whoever Arizona is figuring out who their quarterback is. Now they have set quarterbacks. We have Goff, we have Garoppolo. Like there's a lot better talent, and it's going to show up. They're going to be very competitive games this year for them. 5th hardest schedule as well. So
the big complaint that I've heard the last couple days is that John Snyder has not drafted well in recent years.
Yeah.
So yes, there's still talent. There's still Pro Bowlers and future Hall of Famers on this team, but there's not much in the way of second-tier guys.
Yeah.
And that's what hangs a lot of teams up. Hopefully, we still got a whole weekend of drafting to go, so we'll see.
They have 4 in the 5th, so maybe we'll find out.
Right, exactly. But again, once you get out of those top 8 to 12 special players that everybody covets in the draft, then you move into, okay, we need an outside linebacker. Who's the best available at the 48th pick? Or, whatever second, third round pick you're talking about.
And you talk about capital, too. I mean, when you're a really good team, you're not sitting there with, teen picks, early 20s picks. You're at the end of the 20s, early 30s every single year. Just in terms of draft capital, you can't trade your 30th pick in the draft for very much, but a 50th pick, you can trade that. Like we saw this year, they actually got a 3rd rounder out of trading back just a few spots with the Packers. So,
all right. So the Seahawks only have a 3rd round pick today, so we won't know what's going on until a little bit later. So let's switch to the Mariners. Let's talk a little bit about our 14-10 Seattle Mariners. They, quick little note, they only lost 1 series this season, which is pretty dang good. And they lost that to a pretty dang good team, the Houston Astros. And this week,
and that was a 4-game series too, which they took the first one. So, and then the other two, they only lost by like a run or so. I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
get blown out or beat up. I think there was one game.
There's one that they
did.
got run out.
I think it was
it's the
too,
game
though.
I
It was
went.
like
It's the game I went to.
it was a lot. Too,
Isn't that
though.
always the way?
Yes.
It was competitive, and it was that classic, like, okay, all right, we've used our bullpen a lot because it's been competitive. Now we're going to bring in our lower tier guys, and then they extended out the game later in the game. But at least for the whole beginning of the game, it was very competitive.
So 14-10 is good. It wouldn't put them in the playoffs if the season ended today. But what I liked about this week, what we saw this week, were 4 games that they won by 1 or 2 runs. And I've always thought that a great team wins
the
those
close games. Yes. And that's the thing. Like, you can have murderer's row in your lineup, top to bottom, 1 to 9, but that can just smash the ball. But what happens in those close games? What happens in those 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 going into the bottom of the 9th?
Yeah.
Those are the teams that you got to watch out for.
Especially, like, in the playoffs. Those are the teams that end up winning the games, too, because they're all close games in the playoffs.
Yep.
What I've always been told, the old adage was, you're going to win 60, you're going to lose 60. It's how do you manage those
The other 40.
other 40 some odd
Yeah.
games, 42 games, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're winning them by 1 run, those are games. Those aren't the games like where you just run into like tonight a Corey Kluber, and you're just going to have to give that game up.
Yeah, you have
and say,
Erasmo had a 9 whatever ERA going in and has like a 16 ERA going out. So I think he gave up 3 solo home runs in the first inning. So you just kind of know. So.
Yeah, that's a winner.
They're winning those 1-run games, and there was a 2-run game earlier this week, but they're winning them because of relief pitching,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think so. Yeah.
And it goes back to what I've been saying. What I've been saying since we did the MLB preview is that the Mariners, I still believe, have the best bullpen in the AL West.
Diaz has 11 saves, leads the MLB.
Yeah. Next closest is like, I think 9. So and then it drops off like 6 or something after that. So.
I think the guy with the guy with all the consonants in his last name. It's like a Polish last name.
Oh, Zepchinski. Yeah.
Zepchinski, yeah, and that guy needs to buy a vowel.
He also needs to figure out how to pitch because he's been terrible.
He's been bad, but I mean, except for him, like Nick Vincent had 1 bad game, but he's rebounded. Altavilla has had 1 bad game.
Yeah, but
he's
even
rebounded.
Altavilla was your classic. Oh, we lost the game. We're bringing Altavilla. This year he's been awesome.
You know who's filled that role? Wade Miley is now filling the take 6 innings because we're down by 20.
Yeah. We have LeBlanc for that, and he's actually been okay.
I'm sorry,
too,
I
so.
meant LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Wade Miley.
He was on the team. He was part of the. I think we got Miranda for him.
Yeah, that's
He's
right.
on
That's
the
right.
Orioles last year. I couldn't tell you where he is
Well,
now,
before this year, Wade Miley and LeBlanc were the same guy to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Some useless guy that Poto traded.
But even
They
Pagan,
both have
like,
mothers. They're not
Yeah.
useless.
Well, their
No,
mothers
it's a
aren't-
useful thing.
Their mothers aren't watching this show.
Yeah.
Well, their mothers aren't playing the game either.
And if their mothers are watching the show, please leave your comments below.
Yeah.
I know you don't want comments.
But anyway, yeah, though this bullpen's great. We
He
saw
has a 50 batting average against, by the way.
.050.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
.050.
Wow.
Like where you'd
That's
love an
unheard of.
ERA to be, but that's just batting average against him. So
Well, I mean,
Hey,
the last
he
couple.
keeps doing that to batters, then he will have that.
yeah. And
last-
one thing I will really quick, sorry, but Cervais has to get a Diaz style haircut as well if he makes it to 50 saves this year. So
Is that true?
for a lot of
Oh wait, that's a thing that they actually agreed to.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's a thing
Okay.
that
I thought that was
you
a
should
challenge
hope
you were
Diaz.
issuing.
No, you should hope
Issuing.
Diaz keeps playing well because you'll get to see
Because
Cervais
there's
with the
bonus.
So-
you know the
Yeah.
bullet fade or whatever, the
So
blind
if,
tips and all that
if
stuff.
King
yeah.
Felix gets 20 wins, does Service have to get a neck tattoo?
Oh, I don't see
I
that
hope so.
he agreed to that, but I think he should agree to that.
Speaking of the King,
He'd be definitely a good manager. He'd be very well respected if Felix gets 26. So.
the King Felix has only given up 10 runs in the last 5 games. He's had 1 bad outing. another kind of meh outing. He's 3-2 on the season, but I'm really kind of digging the fact that okay, he's not giving up a lot of runs. He's keeping the team in striking
In the
distance.
games, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's keeping them in games,
Yeah.
and that's really all you. I mean, yeah. When you have a pitcher that has the cachet of Felix Hernandez, then you want him to go out there and be lights out every time. But if it's just your, somebody in your rotation that's just kind of coming in, that's starting the game without all of this extra history, just keep us in it.
Yeah.
Give us 6 at least and keep us in it.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing.
Yeah. I remember the whole Felix game, right? And it's been fun to see him this year, but that was when he won his Cy Young, he lost more than he won. Because it'd always be like a 2-1 game. But there's been a couple of those where he's lost those, like, he's only given up a couple, but we only scored 1, and that's good to see old kind of Felix games where he's exactly keeping him in the game.
Well, he's the only man that won the Cy Young with 12 wins, right?
I'm not sure. I remember he just...
Yeah,
like, you look at the record and you say, tough year for Felix, right?
What was
and
it,
then he had the Cy Young. So.
Right.
What was it a couple of years ago? Felix lost to Kluber, right? But he couldn't help it that he only had like 10 wins.
Yeah.
What do you do when you have 10 wins and like a 3 ERA and 200 strikeouts? It's like, what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
Right.
And however many innings pitched and all that on top of everything.
Yep. Mitch Haniger, he had 4 home runs in 4 games. Had another knock today.
Off Kluber, too. So.
Was it off Kluber?
Yeah.
That's awesome. The guy has 8 home runs, 9 home runs now. I mean, he's up there. He's up there looking like Bryce Harper. He's up there looking like Mike Trout.
In April.
Oh boy! Somebody's
it's,
somebody's
I
gonna
wanna hear
douse
this.
us with some
In
reality.
April. That's all I'm saying. In April.
Yeah.
In April. So,
Please tell us what Tiger Great always did this for you, and you've been
No,
disappointed.
no. Because
Somebody hurt you. Somebody
no.
hurt you, Eric.
Who hurt me? You know
It's
what?
probably a Tigers player.
Chris Shelton hurt me.
Randy John, he
Chris
in
Shelton,
Little
that's
Leagues,
his
Randy
name,
Johnson
Chris
hit
Shelton.
him with the fastball one time, and now he's an anti-Mariners fan.
No, I'm not anti-Mariners. I'm not anti-Mariners. I'm just saying there's 120-something games left. 118 games left. What are
I
they at,
have not been
24?
excited about this team in 17 years, and you're raining on my parade here.
No. I'm not raining on your parade. I'm just providing some caution. Because as one who has drank both the Lions Kool-Aid and the Tigers Kool-Aid, I'm done with Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So I'm it's a cautionary tale.
And like also, if you just look at history, the chances are probably about 50-50 whether he is actually a star or whether he heads back to the Mendoza line and disappears. Like, it's just baseball.
Before his injury, though, he did really well last year.
Yeah, and that helps too, but baseball's so weird. It's just,
Yeah,
maybe he just loves the early months. Maybe he...
But here's what I will say about him. I'm not going to just brand him Hall of Famer right now, but what I will say is you need those people to step up in the early months of the season while you're waiting for a Nelly Cruz to get hot. Because my experience with the Tigers, Miguel Cabrera sucks till like mid-May. And then it's like, oh, Miggy's back. So you need people to carry you through those cold months where you're getting games that are still snowed out to just do something.
So are you telling me to close my browser from change.org to not have Mitch Haniger in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll
Yes.
hold off on that then.
Yes.
Well, okay, well, let's...
But the one thing I will say
keep it
is,
open. You might get just enough.
it's not, Mitch Haniger can hang his hat on any player in Major League Baseball
You
would
said
love.
Mitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any player in baseball
So-
would love to have this month that he had.
All right, let's talk about
So
a Hall of
it's a great month.
Let's talk about a Hall of Famer in Ichiro. Last week, Guillermo Heredia was sent down to AAA. He was doing well. There wasn't anything he did wrong. And a 44-year-old Ichiro, 45? How old is he?
44 still,
44?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think
With a
Birthdays might be
250
coming up.
batting average and no speed. And,
Yeah, but
no
we know why
defense. He's still
Ichiro is back with the Mariners now. This is his swan song.
It's sentimentality.
It's sentimentality.
How many
it's
games does that
ticket
win?
sales. They can I mean, come on. Between 2000 and when was he traded? 08, 09, something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, the Ichiro jersey was like the hottest thing you could buy until Junior came back. And so
He was the team basically until Felix showed up too, right? Yeah.
And he was the team until Felix Hernandez showed up.
Yeah.
So while I understand the fan sentimentality from a box office perspective, this is what it is. You know that when he goes into the Hall, he's going in as a Mariner, not a Yankee, not a Marlin. So, yeah, why don't you let fans have one more sentimental season? You know, there's some 10-year-old kid that's in the seats now, like, I was there, who's going to be like, I was there for Ichiro's last game. So, that wouldn't play as well anywhere else but here.
Yeah. I mean, last year when he hit that home run for the Marlins, I was at that game, and I was close to the loudest cheer I ever heard at Safeco, and he's on the other team.
And he's on the other team, right.
Well, let's talk about that though. I mean, you guys have seen sports fans around the country. That wouldn't play in a different sports town, right?
It's tough for me to say. Just the weird thing about it, I think, is like I would have loved it any of the other 17 years. So this is a bummer for me, but I just feel like it is tough when you're having to give up like 300 hitters like Heredia was hitting for Ichiro, and I think no one would be okay with that. But if that wasn't the exact scenario, then I think they would be okay with it. And
They can't come up with
tough,
some
yeah.
pretend injury to put him on the IR. Or...
I mean, even the Yankees with Jeter in his last year, he should have
people wanna
probably
see
been coming
Ichiro.
off the bench. So,
What? See him do what? Eat sunflower seeds on the bench?
Hey,
Yes.
because
he's not starting.
Keep
But
from second.
but there's still that minimal hope that, hey, maybe we're blowing out the Yankees 16-0. So let's get Ichiro in for some at bats, and at that point you got your Mr. Irrelevant coming out of the bullpen, so they'll lob something over the plate, and Ichiro gets a home run, and everybody goes home feeling good.
You know,
I
Tacoma,
could
they
go
have
down-
enough
hang
excitement
on,
there.
hang
They
on.
don't need
I
an
could,
Ichiro.
I could go down to Children's Hospital, pull a kid out of the gurney, and it would all get a good feel moment too.
And it's the same
watching-
thing.
You gotta say, look, Ichiro's a little bit better than a kid off the gurney, though.
But
You gotta
but I
say
mean,
if the kid was like a Little League World Series like champion or something, at least.
yeah,
Ichiro.
right. But it would still be the same heartstrings that get pulled on at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know,
don't know,
they
though.
always trot somebody out for the national anthem in the first pitch, like little Jimmy Thompson, who has been blind from birth and has one arm and one leg, but he's going to throw out the first pitch, and everybody's like, "Aw, give me another beer." And
So
I think the term gets thrown out all the time when you lose your players, that it's a business. So this time it is for
they
a
brought
player,
one back in,
and
it's
but
a
it's
business.
a business.
Yeah.
It's a business.
all right. So I'm the only one in this room that cares about winning. Is what I get out of this.
No. I care about
I'd
winning,
say
but
that's
let's
not
be
at all what
realistic.
we're trying to say.
Let's be realistic about why Ichiro's back. It's
Yeah.
not
It's money.
because
It's
he's
to
still
sell-
killing it in the
It's to sell
game.
bobbleheads and.
It's
jerseys.
just yes,
I
it's
got it.
Ichiro bobblehead night, and what happened every year when it was Ichiro bobblehead
Oh, yeah.
night?
The
People showed up.
one
because-
fan every broadcast that still gets shown is Ichi Lady out in right field, right?
Ichi
She's
Lady?
still there.
Ichi
Oh
Lady.
yeah.
Who's Ichi Lady?
She's got this hat with like a baseball on it. She's got the Ichi meter.
Oh yeah, I have seen her.
Yeah, I mean, I have Snapchats of me sitting out in right field and being like, oh my gosh, there's Ichi Lady. I'm looking at like a celebrity here. So,
So
a stadium celebrity.
somebody that
no.
should become
she's up.
somebody-
Beyonce,
somebody that
Beyonce moves
should-
on, she'll step right into her place. Ichi Lady.
somebody
well.
that should be a celebrity is the starting pitcher for the Oakland Athletics, Sean Manaea. Had a no this weekend.
Sure did against
And
Boston.
leads the AL in ERA. How has he not been taken away from that team like CPS would do for a child in trouble? They would take him out and put him in a good home. Somebody find Sean Manaea a good home.
They have a couple guys. They have Chapman, their third baseman's one of the top players so far in baseball too. So it's part of the rebuild. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean,
he'll be gone though. I mean, the Yankees or Red Sox. If he continues, they're gonna pick
They're
him
gonna
up.
come and get him. They're
Yeah.
gonna come and get him. And the same with this guy. I mean, somebody's gonna come and get him because they're gonna trade away
like Sonny Gray last
Yeah,
year.
like Sonny Gray. Listen, somebody's going to come in Oakland with a
Donaldson,
ton of
like
prospects at the trade deadline and say, we want that guy. And Oakland's going to be like, well, we like your 5 prospects, but we want your second baseman who's just so-so. They'll go, okay, and that'll be that.
Throw in some cash our way.
Throw in
We're
some
very
cash, you know,
cash-strapped here in Oakland.
Oh,
so-
yeah.
yeah.
And a player to be named later.
Yeah.
Also that. Got to have a player to be named later.
So you guys saw the Red Sox are. I keep thinking they're going to come back to earth. The Red Sox are still
Hey, they got no hit,
winning
like you
night.
said. So.
Well,
They got
okay,
no
there's
hit,
that.
right.
But that's one of only 5 losses they have on the season.
And they made
19.
the Angels look pretty bad. Too,
Yes,
so.
yes, they did, and they lead they lead baseball in batting average, runs scored, and on the pitching side, they're 3rd in ERA.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is a team with old fogies like
Pedroia.
Pedroia's not on the team.
Yeah, he's just been injured.
I was going to say
Like,
JD
yeah.
Drew. You know,
Yeah, they got
Oh,
JD
okay.
Drew. They got
Mookie
David
Betts.
Price. They got,
Mookie Betts is a young guy. Come on.
Is he a young
Yeah.
guy?
Oh yeah.
I just
Yeah,
know he
yeah.
uses the axe handle.
Is he as young as
Yeah.
you though?
No, he might be younger. I don't know. He's right around. Sorry. He's no Ichiro is what I'm trying to say.
But are the Red Sox the real deal, or are they just on fire? Because there's this
I
one
think
year.
the Red Sox are legit. Do I
Okay.
think they're going to go all the way? Probably not. I still think Houston's coming back,
Yeah.
even though they're
Houston's
like
coming back.
3rd in the division. But I think
But,
Houston.
yeah.
I think
mean,
Cleveland will get it back on track at some point.
I think
Yeah, I mean
will get it
Cleveland
back on
tomorrow
track.
because their division hasn't been playing that well too. They're in the playoffs. So.
Oh, that division's garbage, except for Cleveland. I mean,
yeah. Well,
Kansas
Detroit's
City,
in second, which is pretty crazy so far.
Kansas City's it's
yeah.
a burning wreck.
Yeah.
Like it's
Chicago.
And
not,
they
Chicago's
just won the
a burning
World
wreck.
Series like 3 years ago.
they got rid of
But
everybody.
they did a full
and then had a
rebuild,
fire
yeah.
sale, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the AL Central. You got Minnesota and, in theory, Cleveland that are the only like good teams in that division.
Is Minnesota good? I mean, like somehow they get
No,
to the playoffs.
but somebody's got to
Like,
be in first place.
I think they're good.
They're not
They might
good at all,
be-
but somebody's got to be in first place.
They're like that 500 team that could make the playoffs if they overachieve. Could not obviously as well. Like
Well,
they're solid.
Cleveland's still got great pitching. They still got pretty good defense. They've still got a lineup that can hit.
Yeah.
You know,
which hasn't hit and they're still
which
in
hasn't
first.
hit,
And
and
yeah,
that's
they're
the
still
thing.
Yeah, like I
That's
think
the
they'll pick
thing.
it up.
They
yeah.
haven't hit.
They can't,
Yeah, yeah.
though.
But
I think they
it's
will.
April. That's
Yeah,
why
exactly.
talk to me around around Memorial Day,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, this is how it's going to slot out.
These shows aren't going to be good if you keep telling me to wait till Memorial Day.
But Memorial Day is coming. It's a month out.
It's a month
Go to
away.
Sasquatch,
It's a
come back,
month
we'll
from
talk
tomorrow.
to you. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
But I think the big thing too, quietly in the AL Central that's been going on is it has been cold for those poor hitters. It's been in the 30s all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Since the entire the
that's
Tigers have
not-
had
yeah.
4 games rained and or snowed out.
Yeah, you look at Minnesota's record, and they have 6 less games than every team.
Than
too.
everybody else.
Think about,
right.
think about
Yeah.
that. Those games they have to make up as doubleheaders later this year,
Mm-hmm.
and 4 games. That's.
Well, now you're taking off days out and that kind of stuff. So it's
but
like
great for the Mariners. All I'm going to say is all of these close teams have them play triple headers. Honestly, let's let it snow. Let's just let there be a giant ice age. We'll come down from Canada and keep the Central locked up there for a long time.
Bad.
I just think those are the teams the Mariners are really competing on. So anything like that, I'll
It's
I'll
good news,
feel
yeah.
bad
I mean-
for them, but I'll clap about it.
No, especially in this
Yeah.
division.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially in the AL West. Yeah, hey, you got to play 2 games on a day. Chances are, at best, you'll split them.
Yeah. And then the next day, your relievers, if you
And
get
then
to-
and
yeah,
then
you
you,
know,
can,
like,
you spend
yeah.
one day going through your entire bullpen. So
Yeah.
those type of things work out in favor of the Mariners, who have a domed or retractable dome stadium.
Yeah.
So there's no rainouts here.
Yeah.
In a town that rains almost all the time.
You know what? That's a fallacy, though. So for the amount of rain that we get, I mean, it's a mist, right?
It's not like
It's not a
like
full-on rain.
Midwest
It's not like
thunderstorms. Yeah.
Seattle would fall right in the middle of every of all 32 teams as far as rainouts if they didn't have a roof.
Yep.
Based off statistics.
I'm glad they do, though. I'll just say
Miami.
I'm very happy as a fan that when it starts getting a little rainy.
Well, because they don't have to, like, if they have to make up a game, it's because they got rained out in Baltimore, not because they got rained out at
Yeah.
home. So that cuts in half
See,
those.
I think
those,
we need
those
a petition to
on-the-fly
give every
doubleheaders.
team a make the Dodgers and the Angels get a retractable roof. Every team needs one. No more delays anymore.
Well, I think it's really Miami that needs one.
I think they have they're closed.
Is it now closed? Okay, yeah, because
I could be wrong.
They were leading the league in rainouts all the time.
I know a lot of those, like you said, Baltimore's and the AL East teams, especially early in the season, they get rained out all the time too. So.
Well, speaking of raining on people's parades, the Pacers aren't going easy.
Nope.
I thought the Cleveland Cavaliers would just beat the ever-loving stuffing out of them, but it's 3-2 and they're playing tonight.
And Cleveland or Indy was up 10 at the half, but I don't know now. So.
I saw Game 3. LeBron kind of half-assed it. Is he really the greatest of all time? You were mentioning
Statistically, he is.
Okay, I don't know. He
On
takes
paper. I think that LeBron is noticeably not hungry anymore. He's won a ring for himself in Miami. In fact, he won what, 2?
Yeah,
Three?
2.
2 in Miami.
2 in Miami, and then he
One
came
in
back
Cleveland.
home and he
For
got
the
one.
land.
So what's he playing for now?
Yeah, and I think he's not one of the You watch like in the series that he's competitive. It's not like you're watching the game and you can say, "Oh, LeBron, like what do you like?" He leads the team in points, lead the team in rebound, like both teams, rebounds, assists, block shots, steals, like those Warrior series. Every single major stat he leads, and so I feel like it's almost compared to that. Any little downgrade where he's not trying as hard, it's so obvious because he is insanely on it.
And that may just be a function of age. I mean, I remember 2006, maybe it's mid 2000s somewhere. He took a Cleveland team that had no players, none. Like their best.
Ilgauskas.
Like
And what did he do?
Eric
He met up with the
Snow.
Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals and beat the snot out of them 4
Yep.
straight.
Yep.
I
I
know
think he had-
exactly which year you're
He
talking
had
about.
28 straight points to end the game.
Yeah,
I think,
so
or something like that.
There's no doubt that the talent's there. Maybe I'm just looking at it from like he's probably just fucking. I'm sorry. Oops. Sorry. I'll
Abraham
bleep
said
that
a
out.
swear.
I'll bleep that out. I was just saying, like he's probably tired. Like he doesn't.
Well, I
wanna-
mean, he's been doing this since 19, so
yeah.
you know, I would be tired too. I mean, can
yeah.
you imagine? I mean, let's think about it. Like we talk about this from a very fan perspective, but think about it as best we can from a player perspective. You spend 82 games going into these random arenas, and then you know you go out and play the game, but it's so much bigger than that. And then you got to hop on a plane and fly to the next game, and you do this 82 times a year, and it's just. I could see that being exhausting. He
I think
spent his
he-
entire 20s doing that.
And this is the first year in his entire career he played all 82 games, too. Like, I just don't... It's like you're talking about Benjamin Button or something that also started at the youngest age out of everyone. He's still continuing, doesn't get injured, like, knock on wood. But it's just an upper stratosphere with him. And I don't like too much talking about eras because the game changes so much.
Yeah, it does.
But this will be remembered as the LeBron era of basketball.
Speaking of eras
sure.
coming, speaking of eras coming to an end, the Spurs got bounced.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Is there, with Popovich's wife passing away, I could very easily see him just walking away from the game
Yeah.
because he did not look interested. I watched the
Yeah.
game the other night.
And he's old too. He's getting up there.
He's up
anyway,
there too,
so.
yeah.
I hope not, because I think he's good for the game overall. But if he did, he would walk away a very lauded and accomplished man. And I would join in that. Yeah, Coach Pop, you did it. You got 5 rings.
5, yeah.
Yeah, he got 5 with the Spurs.
With one more appearance, right? So 6 total appearances.
And 5
rings,
wins.
yeah.
So
And
he's
technically that one
he's
against the
5
Heat,
and
too.
1.
Ray Allen doesn't make that crazy shot where
Yeah.
everything bounces their way, and that's game over too.
Yeah.
And he
with
did
that
it.
one, so.
I believe his first one, he didn't even have Tim Duncan, right? He had David Robinson.
Yeah,
I think he had a young Tim Duncan, right?
No, because they tanked. They tanked the next year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Suck for luck.
Yeah, and they got Tim Duncan. So it's
Okay.
like, okay, you got the Admiral, first round pick,
Yeah.
first overall pick, and you got Tim Duncan too, first overall.
Yeah, I
That's,
definitely. I mean, even I think it started probably with the Suns a long time ago, but it started becoming attractive to run this style of offense with that Spurs team against the Heat, where they just, I don't even, like, you can talk about Bosch, Wade, and LeBron and go on hours and hours about, like, each player because you know so much about them, but there wasn't that many people on that Spurs team that should be competitive there. I mean, you have Parker
and Ginobili.
Yeah, Duncan.
What
Those
do you
guys
guys-
I don't think can necessarily hold a candle individually to each of
Parker?
those players, but they just play so well
They
as a
would-
team.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so
Okay,
crazy.
are you guys
yeah.
saying Parker and Ginobili are not great players?
No, I
No.
just say if you're going to give me on a one-on-one game, would you rather have Chris Bosh or would you rather have Ginobili? Would you rather have Dwayne Wade or would you rather have Tony Parker? It's just so crazy that, like,
I'll tell you the second one. I
Yeah.
mean,
To
be honest with you, I'll
look at
take
whose
any of
career.
them.
Look at whose career's
On my
been
team?
longer and better.
yeah.
Tony
Yeah.
Parker's had a longer.
But just
better
I just mean on a one-on-one game, that's how the NBA used to be.
Yeah.
Those guys, you have these freak athletes, and then but you have these just perfect team players that the Spurs built.
Yeah,
and,
but
like,
you got freak athletes like Dwight Howard, and he never did anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's where the team element of play comes into it. So you take a Tony Parker and you take a Manu Ginobili, you put them on any other team, and they're not names probably that we even remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you pop them under Coach.
Popovich, yeah.
Yeah,
Pop,
you
and then
put them under Pop, and then you put that squad with them, then they're that great piece. They're that cog.
And I feel like too, during that time, the Spurs were the only real team doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you look at the NBA and you see teams like the Jazz, you see teams like the Raptors. Like, I
Right.
think that Pop made that popular to do that. And you don't need to go out and have three of the best players considered at the time all on max deals. You can spread it out and get team
Exactly.
players. And I like basketball more because of big parts because of
Yeah.
Pop, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's an exciting time of year. They got the NFL draft. You have Major League Baseball, and of course, Stanley Cup and the NBA championships. So we're going to let all of you get back to watching that as we sign off tonight. We are Seattle Sports Union. This was Eric Martin, Nathan Savage, myself, Abraham DeWeese. We encourage you to go to our website, seattlesportsunion.com. Check out all our great articles. Check out our tweets at Seattle Sports U, and like us, join us, leave comments below. Have a great day, everybody. All right.